welcome to Omar Rizk, CTO of GamaLearn, who have been in the educational market since 1989 and have a vision of driving innovation in both the educational and training sectors. Hello, Omar, and welcome to the interview. So why don't you tell us a bit more about GamaLearn?
So as you studently said, GamaLearn has been in the UAE for the past 32 years now. We are specialized in the education and professional sectors, developing niche solutions for the industry, for the different organizations we work with across K-12, higher ed, vocational, ministries of education, and even professional departments. And so we really see it as a mission to make sure we have a comprehensive set of solutions to work across these workflows, challenges. And as we have a global mission to expand us across different regions, we take into account the different challenges that go there. So that's part of the mission of GamaLearn itself.
Great. And what initiatives are you working on at the moment?
So GamaLearn, as I mentioned, is part of a different set of committees, and it's actually also part of the consortium of digital and national accreditation across multiple different countries. We work with, one of the CSR motions we have at the moment is accessibility and how to enable students in special education needs across our platforms and solutions. So when it comes to remote assessments as one of the flagship products that we provide from GamaLearn, we make sure that every one of the last students available in a classroom, in a campus that are doing things from home, where they have no presumed available support from someone right there, and maybe they're at a disadvantage of taking the exam at a level and a compatibility that works with their disability. And so we make sure that we have that done across the board, and we're doing this not for any kind of profit. It comes out of the box with all of our solutions for both students and even educators who need special accessibility solutions. And it's one of the main things that we've been driving for over a year now, and it's been getting a lot of great traction with, of course, the pivot from everything to be on campus to being online. So students face a lot of challenges when it comes to devices and infrastructure. And accessibility actually is not just a necessarily bound or paired to disabilities. Accessibility is all about reaching and all about doing. And we make sure that it's not biased to a specific particular demography of a student. We make sure that everyone gets a fair chance, whether that is by actually sitting for a test that is compatible, whether the actual tools and solutions and environments are comprehensible. Our mission of supporting Bring Your Own Device made a big impact and a big difference, especially that students are using their own devices, whatever is available at home, to do the learning and do the assessments. And so, it's a very big and multidimensional motion, but it serves the direction of what we're doing. And that's maybe one of the main initiatives that we're involved in right now.
So it sounds like uniquely for your company that particularly you're set up for the pandemic. I mean, how did you find that? How you had to change how you operated? Were there any sort of things you had to change differently?
So I guess maybe you can put it in terms like it's a wake-up call to most of the institutions, both educational and professional, really. Everyone that's been doing the same traditional practices and maybe prone to any kind of new, and maybe they were a bit challenged by anything new, so they usually opted in for whatever's traditional. But everyone was faced with a choice of transform or completely perish. And so we've seen a great transformation shift from on-campus and on-premise to online and cloud. At an unprecedented rate. I mean, you see it in learning and remote teaching, you see it in proctoring, you see it in examinations, you see it even in professional evaluations and remote jobs, much like what we're doing right now. I mean, most of our jobs are being done from home. So you can say that digital transformation is no more a buzzword, but instead it's actually a direction that people have to follow in order to survive.
So I guess you were able to sort of, over this past year, see what the medium to long-term impact has been on the K-12 area in the region. What lessons did you learn?
So, of course, K-12, much like any other education sector, have been struck with multiple different choices and challenges when it comes to transforming their model for face-to-face education to remote, whether to embrace the right set of assessment tools to incorporate in this transformation shift, whether they're using still an old paradigm of building assessments. That was one of the main things that we've seen. So item writers, assessment heads, and subject matter experts, they had to change the way they were authoring items and authoring assessments and coming up with alternative policy plans for their courses and subjects and so on. Principals have now been faced even with choices of looking at a paradigm shift on things like grading and proctoring. So they were between the two choices of whether this is going to be more total cost of ownership in terms of my digital assets, or is this ultimately going to pay back in my ROI? And they've been noticing a great return on investment for those of them who already made the shift, because not only are they automating a lot of the workloads and streamlining a lot of these workflows, but actually most of the teachers have been alleviated from all of the mundane tasks that they had to do on paper and on campus. They're doing it at their own, the comfort of their own houses. Students are getting a much more direct and much more visible interaction into their classroom and material. They're getting hands-off and hands-on, as well as their parents are pretty much really involved in the day-to-day. And that actually gave the institution this immediate critical mandate that they have to avail digital tools at the cutting edge to make sure that I'm able to cater to this new expectation. Before, we were just accustomed to, get together and the parent-teacher meeting and speaking maybe casually a bit about the performance over a week or a month. You're doing that on a daily basis. And not really everyone is free and dedicated to have that kind of meeting every day. So with the advent of tools like digital learning and assessment management tools and digital meetings and so on, everything is real time. Everything is immediately mandated. Everything is historically and chronologically required. And so if you don't do that transformation, it's too late. And specifically, I'll speak from where I operate in terms of assessments. The K-12 industry in general is moving towards a fully hands-off environment where all exams are becoming online. They require digital integrity when it's coming to security, proctoring, advanced streamlines of exam blueprints and so on. So it's a big shift, and it's going to stay for a while, probably for a very long time.
And that sounds like GamaLearn has some really clear benefits for educators and educational institutions.
Absolutely. So, since the beginning of COVID last year, we're talking April 2020, we've been great. We've actually been working with our community of educators, teachers, and even schools and campuses to promote different services that are actually free of charge, and some of which have been very discounted. We've had some great offers for schools to create an immediate onboarding and assisting them with this transformation. A lot of the institutions, as you can imagine, were completely lost, and they were not sure where to invest and how to invest and how risky it would be. So we've been working closely with them up until this moment, actually, because even though we're in the new normal, people are still making that shift with a phased out methodology. And we're there to help them with this, whether it's through our consultancy services, our actual solutions and products, or even our own tech team.
And I guess one of the positives from COVID, if you can call it that, is the growth of cloud in the education market. Do you think that will continue?
Absolutely. Cloud has been here way before. When I say way, it's the past, let's say 5 years at least, before COVID hit the world. And maybe some countries and some regions and some customers and users and so on, they were opposed to cloud as an actual metaphor and platform for doing anything. But now everyone is left with only one choice. Cloud is internet, and internet is all we have to make sure we continue executing and operating. So cloud is now not a matter of choice, it's a matter of do or don't, right? So no one has the ability to scale their data centers and on-premise infrastructure and investments, and it will just cause a huge amount of money to scale and operate, whereas everything else is turnkey. Cloud is pretty much, you get it today, you start working tomorrow. So it just goes without saying, it's a matter of do or don't now.
Yeah, and what would you say are the key drivers for education technology adoption strategy in 2021?
I mean, for institutions, I mean, I'd break them down into two categories. Those who didn't have any kind of digital infrastructure to begin with, so there's no real estate, and they were pretty much accustomed to paper and pen and traditional way of doing things. The biggest driver for those right now is how do I start? And I need a turnkey end-to-end solution from cloud to a digital environment where I can communicate with my students, a learning management system that really works and governs that operation, and assessment management that enables me to conduct my online exams, and of course a student repository. And for those of them who did have previous investments, I'm guessing most of the main drivers are how secure is my assessment choice as a platform? Do I have what it takes to be able to conduct online exams? I mean, sure, everyone can use any online available tool, whether free, open source, or even paid for, but doesn't have the elements of integrity and success to ensure online examinations. I mean, you can see where summative exams around the world, whether it's an IGCSE or Common Core, IB curriculums, they had to face very difficult choices of completely terminating the exam because it wouldn't satisfy an acceptable security and integrity level. So every institution is driven by quality and integrity and making sure everything is consolidated and unified under one hub. No more, and gone those days where I have a distributed amount of platforms that are basically spread islands and there's no communication between them. And I have to focus on PD. So teacher and faculty PD is critical. So everyone has to get into the digital age. Whether you're a faculty member who's been driving this for 50 years, or whether you're a person who just got in the game, you got to use these tools. You got to be part of that community. You got to be able to make a difference because we were all taught by great educators, and those educators have great influence and impact upon the education industry. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. But it only makes sense for them to join this paradigm shift to make a big difference as well.
And how is GamaLearn helping institutions with this transitional shift? How are you guys making it smoother for them?
We'd probably start at, GamaLearn is not necessarily a technology company in the at the first level. We're really subject matter experts, and that's what's driving all of the work and effort inside the company and outside. So we have subject matters and experts in qualification and accreditation. We've got ones in international exams, psychometric assessment analysis, and so on. So what we offer our customers is not a technology pitch. It's more of an academic consultancy. Where are you right now from where you need to be? And we do a gap analysis of the situation, and we really highlight where those areas of most critical attention need to be prioritized, and then we support them in adopting the right tools. And GamaLearn is not operating on its own. So GamaLearn works through partners all around the world, from resellers to technology partners to training and support partners, and we're gearing all of these resources to help those communities in their own language and their own countries to be to expedite and accelerate that adoption and that growth. So really, all of resources in technology and otherwise.
What would you say are the benefits for educational institutions using GamaLearn?
So GamaLearn itself is not a solution. GamaLearn is the company that produces those educational and training and assessment platforms. My pitch here would be the platforms that we develop are geared towards solving niche issues. So for example, assessment right now, most of the institutions don't have an actual deployed solution for dedicated assessment management. If you look at the typical ecosystem in any institution, to professional or otherwise, they're looking at learning management system and student information system, but the critical ingredient missing there is the assessment management. And why are we talking about it being an ingredient that is essential? It's not replacing anything else. It's actually complementing and completing that loop. Because while we manage learning, we need to be able to evaluate it correctly. And so the ROI of the proper assessment is improved learning. So it's a loop with no gaps in there. And so the greater benefits here is adopting our solutions completes the picture and handles those workloads. Now, really, if you go to our websites and really read about the use cases and the services, you'll learn more there about how it works for them, what kind of solutions and services do we pitch, and what stakeholders in each and every sector make the best out of in terms on their own professional role level.
You touched on this a bit with sort of inclusion and special educational needs. Can you tell me a bit more about GamaLearn's CSR motion that you have? What have been some of the challenges and solutions with that?
So GamaLearn, being a global strategic partner of Microsoft, we'd like to maybe inherit a bit of the same vision and mission they have, which is empowering a lot of the educators, a lot of the students, and leaving no student behind. And one of that is definitely being supportive of all student special needs. And we work closely with our customers, which are in cases ministries of education, to serve nationwide assessments, for example. And special education needs is an entire department geared toward helping students accommodate and adapt the curriculum to their own needs in terms of the delivery and solution compatibility and adaptability. And we were developing a lot of great tools from the authoring side to the delivery side to make sure the students are getting the fair chance they need. So just to give you an example, we have a different professional categorization, and they're actually medically correct based on the World Consortium of Accessibility Guidelines. And you got the hard of seeing, the hard of hearing, learning disabilities, and others. And we've dedicated multiple different solutions from the point of teachers writing items that are compatible for these disabilities, all the way to personalizing the experience of these students once they get into the test. So for example, if you're dyslexic, by default, your environment automatically increases and adapts the spacing, the line heights, the word character sizing, magnification. If you are an ADHD student, we try to minimize the other factors of attention deferring. So we'll try to make it as fair as possible and as supportive as possible. Not only that, but we're also creating a benchmark for the institution on their accessibility scoring level. So every institution now can go back and fall back onto their own items and item banks and assessments, and they can see that the accessibility score is getting the minimum number of acceptable score. Otherwise, they can already go back into a PD level and reflect on that in terms of how to write better items and better assessments for our students to be able to accessibility everyone.
Brilliant. So if people wanted to find out more about those initiatives or anything else about GamaLearn, where could they find out more information?
So for sure, you can visit www.gamalearn.com, and the main platform, the flagship platform that we're talking to a lot of institutions today about is assessments. So Swift Assess, and that's another mega platform that they need to visit to learn more about the solutions that works for them. They visit that by www.swiftassess.com.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Omar. That was really interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.